evening. Oh, here we go. Good evening and welcome. Welcome to my live stream, Fight CPS and Stop Taking Our Children. I'm your host, Bob Pace, and it's a warm welcome. Um, Looks like we got a late start here. I'm trying to put things up. Whoops, that's not what I want to put up. Here we go. There we go. We got one thing up. Great. Anyway, this is a reality program. I mean, it's for real. It's not a recording. When you watch it later, it will be a recording. But I want to welcome you to this room. One of the first things I want to do is go over some of the things you can do in this room. You could certainly text me a message. I'd love to hear from you. I work best if we have some interaction among you people. Now, I don't need to read that to you, but that's how you would text a message to me. Please follow that format. And you're from the United States, don't worry about putting your country. I already know you guys in the USA. That is for people outside of the USA. I have 22 countries. And with the USA, it's 23 countries. Now, these 22 countries I've talked to is Indonesia, Bangladesh, India, then up to Middle East to Saudi Arabia and Libya, then over to the continent of Africa, to Liberia, to Sudan, to the Republic of Congo, then over to Rwanda, and then down to Mozambique, and then down to the provinces of South Africa. Up to Europe is United Kingdom, England, Scotland, and Wales, and also Denmark and Sweden. Across the pond is North America. Talk to Canada and its provinces. And then also, of course, the United States, all 50 states, including Washington, D.C., which is not a state. It's a federal land, and they don't have the same rights as states do. It's really kind of tough because there's a lot of history about Washington, D.C. But anyway, we go south of the border to Mexico, and then further south to South America, north of Brazil. On the east coast is Grenada. Then across the South Pacific to New Zealand, and then the land down under Australia and its states. So those 23 countries have expressed concern about their CPS and have been either text a message or been on my show. Some have even called from other countries. 27 is country code for South Africa. I've heard from Leica, a really sweet, dear lady, and she calls me Uncle Bob. She says, I'm family. Everybody in here is family. I also heard from a sweet lady, a mom in England, country code 44. Anyway, it's great that people do call in and you can text me a message about you and so forth. It's all, once it was there, disappeared. Anyway, there it is. Please follow that format. And to be a guest on my live stream, all you have to do is email my producer, Grace. There's her email. There are 14 shows that I do weekly. I've been doing this since October of 2023. That's 22 months. That's 22 months. Almost comes on to 2 years. It's almost 2 years. 1 year, 22 months is, God, that's 1 year and 10 months, I think. Yeah, 1 year and 10 months. Anyway, I've talked to over 2,500 people from around the world. And so I have 14 shows a week, twice a day. I'm on at 10 o'clock in the mornings, Monday through Friday, and 8 o'clock in the mornings on Saturday, Sunday. Then in the evenings, I'm on at 7 o'clock every night of the week. Now, tomorrow morning, I'm typically on at 10 o'clock, but tomorrow morning, I'll be on at 8 o'clock in the morning. 8 o'clock in the morning. I have a court to go to, so that's not going to be fun. Actually, I have 3 court hearings to go to. One at 11, then 11:20, and 1 o'clock. I've really got a busy day in court. That's for sure. Really busy day. Okay. Anyway, I'm just letting you know that most of the time that's when I'm on, so you can grab me. Now, I'm going to be shifting over to my new computer shortly. I have to get a code in there, but I got my computer. Wow, it's like night and day, night and day. So I should be able to start the shows punctually at my times and end them accordingly. And I won't have any other the problems I've had for the last 22 months. I should have no problems whatsoever. Now, I had this up here about how to be a guest. There it is. So you pick one of my shows. I want to be Bob's Monday morning show, or Bob's Sunday night show, or Bob's Wednesday night show, or whatever. You just say morning or night. Now, Grace will send you a link that you copy and paste, and it'll get you onto an application I use called StreamYard. StreamYard is what I'm on right now, and if you get knocked off, you just copy and paste it again. It's good for the whole show. So please, be a guest. I can take 9 of you, which is great. With me, it makes 10. And the most I've had is 4. So I'd love to have some more. Now, I know people are coming in, and the first person in the morning is Erin. Welcome, Erin, tonight. Erin is very special to me because her name is the same as my firstborn, Erin. And I've not seen my firstborn since she was 3 years old. She's 36 now. I keep hoping one of these days I'll be able to connect with her. I miss her dearly. Well, this Erin is from a different place. She's from Tennessee, and she's 30 days younger than my Erin. She was born in June 2nd, and my daughter was born on May 2nd. But anyway, I love Erin because it's a pretty name and it reminds me of my daughter. And I almost feel like I can be able to talk to her right now. So welcome, Erin. But you had some terrible news to tell me earlier today. This morning, it was so bad. It's so bad. You lost your termination of your parental rights. And that was a hard thing to hear from you. And you spent $16,000 on an attorney, did nothing for you. That's even worse. I'd like you to call in and maybe tell me your story. And by the way, I need to put that phone number up there, by the way. There it is. 626-698-0990. That is my phone. Oh boy, I keep dropping my phone. It's terrible. I dropped my phone. I got it back here. Oh. But anyway, we're here to help one another. We're all in here as a family fighting a very, I hate to say, a bad rogue entity. We don't know where this rogue entity is because you never know. I'd say 50% of the child protection systems are bad. 50%. I come up with this because last year in 2024, they reported 4,200,000 reports of child abuse. And the people that did that reporting were mandated reporters, so you think it'd be a lot better than that. But they were off by 2 million. Of the 4,200,000, 2 million were unsubstantiated, meaning that they're just bogus. They're bogus. And lay people are just worse. They're 75% of the time wrong, only 25% right. Lay people are like your or like your family members, your neighbor, your person that works at the store down the street, people that don't take care of children professionally. The mandated reporters, which are the professionals, are your doctors and nurses and teachers and administrators and counselors, your caregivers, your firemen, your policemen. They're all mandated by law to report suspected neglect and abuse. And it goes on all the time. There's 1,000 cases every day that go unreported. So it is bad. It is bad. It is really, really bad. And some of the things are terrible, especially lately with several of the children be locked in their car. That's hard to believe. That is hard to believe. That's 365,000 children a year that go unreported. That's a lot of bad reports. Child abuse is rampant in the United States, no question about that. In fact, it took them so long to do anything, they had your animals more protection than children were. If you look up the founding of the abuse of animals or treatment of animals, it's been there's been Humane Society a lot longer than CPS. CPS was only started, by the way, in 1962. And it wasn't until 1974 when they had any laws that went with it. You know, Congress said, oh, we need to protect our children, but they had no laws. So they had to create the laws. So that came after 62 to 74. That came 12 years later. But doctors have been noticing a lot of people come with injuries, children. So that's why it all came into play. And it is sad because there's the shaken head syndrome where a parent will take the child and vigorously shake them. And their brains are developing their head, and their head isn't firm and ends up killing them. Anyway, I'm glad you're here because I do want to help you. Now, I'm not an attorney. Who am I? Well, besides my name, Bob Pace, I'm also a loving father and a husband. I've been, I've helped raise 6 children. There are 1 in the 40s, 2 in the 30s, or 3 in the 30s now. I'm confused. 1 in the 40s. There is Maria, and there is Aaron. That's 3. Yeah. 2 in the 30s, 1 in the 40s, and 3, 2 in the 20s and 1 in the teens. So the damage to my kids were my young kids, my youngsters, who today are 19, 25, and 23, or 19, 23, and 25. So anyway, I mentioned about Erin, my firstborn. I'm not seen her since 30, and that was from another marriage. And that was sad how that all happened. I've also lost a second daughter. And that second daughter I've not seen since she was 12, and she's 23 now. Because my CPS case started in 2015, but actually it started in 2010 when I lost my job through no fault of my own. Unbeknownst to me, some lay people, my in laws, my wife's mother, father, and three sisters and a brother, called in all the time saying complaints that were true about me and the children. Um, what really is hard to do, um, let me stop here for a moment here. Sorry, I had a family member come down and talk to me, so I didn't want to disturb you all. So anyway, um, my phone number is up there. Now the other number you see there, 888-888-6582. That's the law office of Vincent W. Davis. Aaron further said, my TPR for my twins was in 2021. Oh wow, that long ago? I'm currently fighting to get my 17-month-old, who was placed in the same foster home that adopted my twins, instead of placing them with my parents they're uh because he uh parents because there was siblings. Oh, maybe your 17 months was with his twin. Why, Aaron, you've never told me about how your twins were taken? Was it neglect or abuse or both? Boy, there's so much I don't know, Aaron, and I know I feel for you. You're you're going through a lot there, and I'm really sorry about that. Um, okay, Aaron, do you have anything further? Um, I know your 17-month-old boy is with his siblings, but how did you get double zapped twice? How did you get double zapped twice, Aaron? Um, anyway, I mentioned the number on my screen, the 888-888-6582. That number is the number to reach my law office. That's where Vincent Davis is, who's the attorney that is a great attorney. He is a juvenile law, family law, dependency attorney. He's licensed and trained. He has fought and won back thousands of children from CPS. He's also been doing this for 39 years. He once was a foster child himself, so he knows all about foster system. And he is a real fighter because he's done civil lawsuits where he has won millions of dollars fighting CPS. So he's a pit bull of attorney. His hourly rate is $500 an hour, and his retainer for LA County starts at $5,000. Those are approximate rates per hour and for thing charged. But you can call me or call in and they give you the right numbers and stuff. A retainer is something you need to set aside for an attorney to work on. And you really should use legal insurance. And a lot of you probably don't recognize that you can get legal insurance. I've heard anything from 50 cents a day to $1 a day. So you should be able to get a premium for $365. And they will pay the retainer. They'll put the retainer out. Just like your car insurance, it works the same way. You take out life insurance, you take out appliance insurance at your home, you take out car repair insurance, you take out comprehensive insurance, you take fire and storm damage insurance in your home, you have renter's insurance, you have animal insurance. Well, take out legal insurance. That's the only way you're going to get a real good attorney fighting for you. You can't use the court appointed attorneys. These court appointed attorneys are not trained in juvenile law, family law, dependency law, and they have no motivation to fight for you. They're heavily laden with hundreds of cases. They have 30 to 100 cases. That's a lot of cases. And they're going to look for the easy way out. And I'm sorry to say that, but that's really got to be careful of those kinds of attorneys. Ooh. So I've had Aaron here talk twice. I have several people in the room, which is great, but I don't have much questions everybody's asked me. And I don't mean to be rambling on because, you know, it's so hard. I mean, I've been doing this now for a long time. I mean, to think about it, well, here, let's do it this way. We can say 22 um, 22 months times 4.33 weeks in a month times 14 shows. That's 1,334 shows that I've done. That's a lot of shows. It's a lot of information. So I've had approximately 2,500 people talk to me here and done about 1,500 shows. And I've had some success stories. There's the family that was accused of neglect, and I think they got their case and they got their kids back. I've not heard from them since uh, they got their attorney. It's one of those things where I worked with them on Tuesday and Friday. They get their child. He was not. They had diagnosed the child with appendix, but the parents weren't sure. And sure enough, it wasn't appendix. It was their gallstones in their gallbladder. But CPS was intent of having them remove the appendix, and they did, which is a shame because after remove it, the pain still persists. They did further studies and found out through X-rays that was gallstones. It was not appendix. Okay, we have someone calling in. All right. Okay. Good evening and welcome to my live stream. This is Bob Pace. Who do I have the pleasure of talking to? Okay, Sevilla. Welcome from Sevilla. What province in Canada are you from? Okay, and then you end up in New York. I know who you are, Sophia. You were vacationing in Canada. You're not from Canada. You were vacationing in Canada. And then the Canadian social workers decided to take your children and send them off to Florida with relatives, right? Well, right, but isn't that aunt part of the family? Isn't she part of the family? Right. She may not be a good aunt, but she's part of the family. So a relative took your children from Canada, and how did the Canadians ever find the relative in Canada? How'd that happen?
She was willing to throw me under the bus. They thought this nobody was interested in talking to her because her drug abuse was obvious just from how she presented herself.
Well, how'd she get into
And
Canada's
after a
hand?
while,
How did she get into Canada's hands?
you know,
Ah, so you're telling them, but then why did CPS get involved if your children were U.S. citizens? Why were they involved in U.S. citizens? Hmm.
here's someone, she doesn't have status here, and we could just basically do what we want with this person. So that's the thought. They didn't realize he was, I guess, an American citizen until they met me. But by that point, they really didn't care. They just took their children anyway.
Okay.
And this is what they do. This is not something that's isolated. It's not like, okay, they take your kids under one pretense and then go to court and file something else entirely as to why they had your kids taken. When I had my newborn taken in New York, it was similar in that respect. That when I met with them and I said, okay, I'm opening myself up to you guys are banging down my door with police saying that I need to bring my baby in to see a social worker.
Yeah.
I don't want police bringing up my door. They told me, oh, take your baby because your other three kids are not with you. Meanwhile, this aunt is the same aunt that went to Canada conspired and colluded with the Canadian CPS so that she could try to get these kids into her care, so that she could try to use them for monetary gain, to be able to file taxes because she's a tax preparer, claim them, file taxes, claim the child tax benefits, claim Medicaid because she's very ill and she wants to be able to get all the benefits that she can. And I believe that there's a, life insurance policy on their heads. And I think something might happen to them in her care. But nobody wants to listen to the mother, to this black woman here. What does she know, the single black mom? Okay?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm reaching out. The lawyers, it's the same thing that's happening here, same thing happening in Canada, but to a less extreme degree, where the free lawyers that you get assigned are actually working against you. Maybe not all of them, but in my case, it's 3.
Well,
okay?
I've always, you're right.
They don't file anything for you. So I choose to go pro se. Now, I've taken my children to Florida under the instruction of Canada CPS. Canada CPS is telling them, keep these kids. Are you willing to not give her your address? Don't let her know where you live at. Keep them in your home. Don't let her talk to them. Nothing. They worked out some agreement. She flew up there, took the kids to Florida, and is living at an undisclosed location. I don't know where my kids are being held. I'm still thinking they're in Canada. They're in Florida with this relative because Canada CPS and her colluded together to say, okay, stay there. And we're going to keep, okay, but we've got to have enough time that's going to go by before we can ask for a termination of her parental rights. So
now,
we're getting pressured by the embassy to get these kids out of Canada. But so we'll get them out of Canada, but we're going to keep the file open.
Now, why is the U.S. Embassy? I had asked you this several times. You've tried to. I've asked you this several times. Why is the U.S. Embassy in Canada, or the U.S. Embassy in New York, or the U.S. Embassy in Washington D.C.? Why are they not helping you? Mm-hmm.
These kids don't CPS custody because nobody has any checks and balances once the parental rights are terminated. So the case is left open in Canada. It's pending in Canada while these kids are in the U.S. because they got pressure to get them to the U.S. How are you having the kids in the U.S.? I'm in the U.S. and my case is still open in Canada, and they still have jurisdiction over these kids that are in America, American kids. They're not even there. But it's happening. So she's hiding out with them because they know if this mother reunites with these kids, she can call the police and say, give me my kids. There's no court order that you should have these kids. No U.S. court has granted her rights to have those kids. So you can't just somebody with you unless given that right by U.S. court. Doesn't matter if some gave you some type of privilege or some caseworker gave you some type of privilege in another country. If these are American kids, you're American soil, you better be their legal guardian. You better have something that says that you have a right to these kids. So hide away. They were told hide away. Okay, so the mom doesn't know, and we're going to just let time go by. But I found out where they were. And I went there and said, this lady doesn't have a U.S. court order. She's not granted any legal custody to have my kids. They need to come out of there. Police agreed. Okay, yes. She can have some paperwork from wherever. Mexico, Canada, Russia, we don't care. She doesn't have paperwork from the U.S. She can't have these kids. She can't hold them. That's akin to kidnapping. You're keeping me from my kids. You're not letting me talk to them. You're not telling me where you live, where you are. You're telling me, give me the social security number, and then I'll let you talk to your own kids. I'm not giving you any social security number of my kids. If you were legitimate, you would have the social security number. You wouldn't be begging me for any.
Well, the reason why they want the social security number is so they get money from social security illegally. Yeah. Do you, okay, did you ever get their passports? Did you ever show the police your passports? Okay, a passport is a legal documentation to travel outside the United States. No, did you show them your children's passports? How did they get your passports? I thought your passports are in your hands. No, 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 no. When you went and got passport for your kids, okay, when you went and got passports for your kids, why did you give them to the Canadian officials? Well, that's what you're saying. I asked you, why did you not show the police the passports? Why do you not show the police the passports? Okay. Why did you not have them? Who had them? Okay, who had them? All right, but why did the embassy have them? Why did you give them to the embassy? No, no, no. Slow down. Slow down. Slow down. Slow down. Okay, I've gotten many of passports in my life. I'm 75. The embassy never got me the passports. The embassy, if it's not if you have your passport and visa stamped, if your passport's in order, you don't have to go to the embassy. The only time you need to go to the embassy is your passports were stolen. Oh, okay. I see what the problem is. But where was the passport? Okay, was it at home? Was the passport at home? Okay. Okay, you're not okay. Can you let me talk? I'm trying to ask you a question and you're not listening to what I'm asking you. You said the police took your kids. Why couldn't you show them at home your passport when you called the police and show up at their house in Florida? Why did you not show the passport to the police? Okay. What that does to the police is the police will sit there and say, you make logical sense. Why does this lady have your kids? Here's the passports. The mother has the passports. In fact, if the minors are under the age of 18 in the passport of the parents, it clearly states the children. You need to look at that passport. It's illegal. You don't need the birth certificate. The birth certificate is how you got the. Okay. All right. The birth certificate is how you got the passport. You're not listening to me. If you have a passport, you don't need a birth certificate. You can have a birth certificate. That's fine. Because you need to show the policeman, you need to show the sheriff that you are the legitimate mother of those kids. You never did that. The birth certificate, but you said they were taken out of Canada. If they're taken out of Canada, you can show them the passports. The birth certificates weren't issued in Canada. Okay, I'm talking about the What city? What city were you in Florida? What city were you in Florida? Okay. Why couldn't you tell Stanford, Florida, or Toledo, Florida? Why can you show your children's passports to show that you have them and that they are yours? You don't, no, it shows them that you were in Canada. You see, the problem is the police don't know who to believe. If you say that your kids were taken from you in Canada, you can say, here's their passports. I am the mother. They were legitimately with me. It's a legal documentation that states you're in Canada. It's stamped. When you enter Canada and when you leave Canada, it's stamped. Okay. All right. So then when you show up in Florida, why did they not believe you that you had the birth certificates? Why were they believing these strangers have your children? Why did they believe them? Yeah, why did they believe your then where was the legal documentation supporting that? Where was the legal documentation supported? If you had a if you had a lawyer, if you had a lawyer standing next to him, he would very carefully show the policeman. Your problem is you're trying to do this pro se, and you're not going to go anywhere with the policeman because they don't care. I know you don't have money for an attorney. I know you don't, but you're going to have to fight like them. You're going to have to act like them, and you're going to have to sit there and say to the policeman, "These are my birth certificates of my kids. That aren't is illegal documentation." You should have said to him, "Where's the court order? Where's the court order?" You said she didn't have a court order. A letter, a, a letter is not a legal documentation. Not No, no, no. You called the police. You told me you called ahead that your kids reported missing. Did you call 911? Did you call 911? Did you call 911? Okay. If you call 911, there is a transcript of that call. If you call the police or call the social workers, there's no records. They'll lose it. That's why you need to call 911. So if you legitimately call 911, there's a report and you can enter that into the courtroom and show them your call in to reporting your children missing. And you can say that the aunt, all she had was a letter, not a court order, that she had custody of the children.
Did she you saying that she can have those kids? If she doesn't, she has to give them back. We will enforce your parental rights. Go to home life. And if she doesn't have a U.S. court order, those kids are getting back to you.
Then what happened? Then why did you not inform the policeman? Did you get the name of the policeman you talked to and tell the other policeman? Okay, and what did they say when you gave the names?
She's a legal guardian. It was this no, but no. The, something, she was a legal guardian. So I showed up in person and I called the police and no instructions where he said, she doesn't have a U.S. court order, she has to give you back your kids. I showed up and a police officer lady read the notes before she arrived on the scene and assumed that it was correct that she was a legal guardian because this is the note that was written. Nobody wanted to go and check. And then after they arrested me, they put in their report that they're still waiting for the paperwork that she's a legal guardian. Okay. So you mean to tell me you arrested me without having legal paperwork that she's a legal guardian? You charged me with a felony? Okay? You charged me sat in jail for about a week for somebody that doesn't even have, that's actually kidnapping my kid, obstructing custody, extorting me for a social security number, calling up, making false reports about my newborn. That's a misdemeanor in the state of New York.
Yeah.
Multiple things. Then she goes and files an order of protection claiming she's a legal guardian of my children and I should stay away from the 3 children just to be able to have something to say I should stay away. Because she's trying to buy time so Canada can terminate these rights. All right?
Yeah.
Then, all of this is going on. My public defender is not even informing the judge that this lady is not the legal guardian to these children. He refuses to ask for a dismissal of the case and tell the judge that, you know what, this lady actually doesn't have any paperwork that she's a legal guardian. And we're actually in family court because I filed an emergency pickup where I said, this lady has my kids. I explained the situation the day before I went to that home. And the judge is supposed to order that the same day, an emergency pickup order. But he didn't. He waited till next week to deal with it. And by that time, I had gotten arrested. And then on Monday, he issued an order that I could pick up my kids, but I'm in jail. Because she claimed that she's a legal guardian.
Well, that's because you allow that to happen. You have no choice. If you don't have an attorney, that's the consequences. I am sorry about
the
that.
Consequences, it's not the consequences if I don't have an attorney. All these people are not doing their rightful duty. No police sergeant should be arresting
but arguing with these people, arguing with these people is not going to help you. Arguing with the people is not going to help you. No, the law is.
If this person does this could be 2 sides of a coin.
It doesn't work that way. There's a third side of the coin. There's a third side of the coin. No, it doesn't, because where are your kids? Where are your kids? Where are your kids? Where are your kids? I know you're saying that it's supposed to work, but it doesn't work that way. And the only way you're going to fight that is to go to court. You know, people are accused wrongly all the time. Our president went through 99 incidents. Our president went through 99 arrests or 99 things. And you had to hire attorneys. Now, I know you don't have the money that he has, but the only way you can beat anything or do anything is you need to hire an attorney. I know from experience. I tried for a year and a half to fight. I have lost one daughter through no fault of my own because my attorney came back so hard and caught the social worker in perjury. And we have a lawsuit, but I can't afford the attorney to do the lawsuit.
Should be notified that this and it's a gross injustice.
Well, have you tried to notify the attorney? If you want to do that way, it's your right. You can go ahead and notify them. But there's another agency that you should notify, who is at the top. It's called Doge. It's Doge, DOGE. All right. Have you called them? It's funny because I emailed them I emailed them and I called them. They did talk to me and they did take my email because I got a confirmation. No. You have to email it. I did an email and I got a confirmation back. I wouldn't be giving out, I would not give out bogus information.
Issued me an emergency pickup order, and then the very next day canceled the emergency pickup order after he heard of an arrest. He reads the report. The arrest says this lady claims to be the legal guardian. We're in court, and he's asking her to bring paperwork to show that she has some type of order from Canada to have these kids.
Did she bring it?
Why are you canceling?
Did she bring it?
No, she didn't bring it.
So what did the judge do next?
30 days.
What did the judge do next? All right. Has it been? All right. Then what?
I can't get my kid. I don't know how much money he's getting offered, but he's getting offered it. He's in the court. This lady doesn't even show up in court. She's not shown up once because as soon as she walks in, you're going to see that she's a drug addict.
Okay.
This judge, she didn't show up for 3 hearings.
Okay.
And on those notices, it says if you don't show up, you may lose the children and they may be returned to myself. It says that on the 2 notices, and in her 3rd hearing, she still didn't show up. I'm like, okay, so why haven't the children been? If she's not coming in to the hearing because she knows she doesn't have a court order from a U.S. court to have these kids, she doesn't want to face the music.
You don't have to convince me. You don't have to convince me. You have to convince the judge.
Is going to turn them in as her order and then get my kids. You can't have me arrested months ago claiming you're the legal guardian. And all the police have is some flimsy letter from a caseworker with a faux stamp that looks like it's an official court document, which it's not.
Well, you got to convince the judge. If you can't convince the judge, I don't know what else to tell you. Well, then you're going to have to get rid of that judge. You're going to have to get rid of the judge. You got to prove to the court that judge is corrupt. You have to go to court about it. Judges can be replaced. Judges can be replaced.
Protection. You have a stay-away order. You cannot.
You don't serve. When you serve a paper, you can't be a party to the server. You have to get an independent person who's not part of the case to serve. No, you can't. You have to have a third party. You cannot be involved. If you are involved in the case, you cannot serve people. So you either got to hire somebody or you have a friend who's over age of 18 that is not part of the case that can help you.
What person has 2 types of stay-away orders?
Well, I'm just saying you, so all you're doing is just digging. You're like a dog chasing its tail. I know exactly what you're saying is right. Well, no. I'm using that as a semantic. I'm not calling you dog. I said you're like a dog who chases his tail, never get anywhere. You ever seen cats or dogs chase their tails? Okay, I'm not calling you a dog. I think you're a beautiful woman. I think you're a very strong and aggressive woman. Your aggressiveness doesn't seem to work well with people because they drop blinders. The police have dropped blinders on you. Your aunts drop blinders. Your judges drop blinders. because you come across as very aggressive. Well, you have to sweet talk. I know that, but well, no. Aggressive does not mean harm. Aggressive means that you can be strong vocally with somebody. You can argue with them. Well, the courtroom is for the argument. The courtroom is for the argument. The courtroom is the argument. If you're in the courtroom, you have to learn how to argue motions. You need to know how to present motions. You need to do that in the courtroom. Well, I know you tried, but you're not legally. If you, yeah. Well, they're not going to defend their clients because they work for the other side because they're not trained. You got somebody that's a public defender that's a joke. Okay.
Go with this exciting news that I have coming up because I'm so to say in that case with my newborn, and I want to know what can I do or what should I do to ensure that my permanency planning hearing goes the way it needs to.
Where is your newborn, by the way?
She's in foster care, and
Yeah.
they refuse to release her to relatives.
Why was she put into foster care if she wasn't in Canada? If it's a newborn, why? I'm asking you a question. If she's a newborn, why is she not with you? Why? The Canada situation is separate. Well, I don't know how you're going to fight this unless you get an aggressive attorney. And the person that would be a pit bull of an attorney. I don't know. Where's the permanent planning you're going to be in? I'm going to tell you, I need to know the city and I need to know the state. Where's the permanent planning meeting going to be? Okay, New York, New York. Hold on. Okay, New York, CPS, and what's it called again? Tournament? Planning. Here.
And they haven't told me anything that they want to do. They're requiring me to do. They're supposed to give you that within 30 days of removal.
Oh, let me tell you what they tell you right now. NewYorkCourts.gov. You ever go to that website? NYCourts.gov. Anyway, that's family court. And it's called Child Protective Permanent Planning. The Adoption and Safe Family Act was enacted by the federal government in 1997. So what you want to do is research that act of 1997. Because of the growing national concerns that there are too many children who linger for too long in foster care. I know exactly what this is. Set standards for the operation of state foster care programs by requiring. See, in 1997, Bill Clinton signed this into law. I knew that. This is the same thing I've been talking about. And it's called the incentive. It's where they pay the child protective agency for the children to be adopted in foster care. It's to do the adoption. And they'll pay $35,000 per child if the child gets adopted into foster care. And that's only if the family reunification of the parent doesn't work out. Now, one of the major charges created by ASFA for permanent families is the requirement for a new type of hearing, which is called a permanent hearing. At the permanency hearing, the court determines the appropriations of the agency's plan to create permanency for the child. On February 11th, 1999, New York Governor George Pataki signed legislation um, to implement the ASFA in New York State. Every state was required to adopt this act. On August 23rd, 2005, Governor Pataki signed the new permanent bill, which was effective December 2005. It um, consolidates permanent hearing provisions regarding the abuse, the neglect, the volunteer placement, and free children into a new Article 10A of the Family Court Act. So this is where you have to do your homework. This is where you got to spend days and hours and research all this to get yourself an answer. Now, the ASFA requires more frequent judicial reviews, criminal record screening, extensive judicial monitoring, and documentation of the children's progress towards achieving a permanent home. I don't know why you can't blow your aunt out of the water by just doing a timeline or a journal of what's been happening since your kids have been in their custody. Expands and it imposes monetary sanctions when a state does not comply with these federal standards. See, these are federal standards that you need to look in and see if they're violating. If the CPS in New York is violating these federal standards, they're going to be in trouble. As a result of the adoption of phase 2 of the Family Justice Program, the Permanent Planning Division was established. Planning was created to manage and monitor the file of child protective, child neglect and abuse cases filed in New York City. Family Court Permanent Planning offers also monitors the juvenile delinquency and persons in need of supervisions. Cases filed in New York City family courts. Whenever a child is removed from his or her home and placed outside of their home on any of the above mentioned cases, permanent planning has the job of making sure the child is not left in the placement or foster care any longer than the court's order. In other words, until there's a permanent plan for the child's future. Now, I just found a lot of information about this permanent planning, and if I was you, I would spend days researching this. I want you to go to newyork.courts and look up child protection, look up permanent planning, and spend time there researching the federal statute and try to build your case is what I'm trying to help you with. I'm trying to help you build your case. Now, I've run over my time. It's now after 8 o'clock. It's 8:20. And I've gone way over. And I've actually running time an hour and 10 minutes. But I want you to know you're perfect welcome. I know you've been on my show several times, and you're perfect welcome. Now, I'm going to be on tomorrow, not at 10 o'clock, but at 8 a.m. in the morning. 8 a.m. in the morning. I have to be in court at 10 o'clock. And I'll be all day in court. So I won't be able to do my show. But I'm telling you that at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'll be here to help you or anybody else that has an issue. Aaron, if you're still there out there from Tennessee, thank you for calling in. And I thank you, ma'am, for calling in. Aaron didn't call in, but thank you for texting in there. But, you know, you got a long battle ahead of you because you're trying to fight the world, and it's hard to fight the world. You know, I want to do a lot of things to make changes, but it's hard. But thank you all for listening tonight. Yeah, I know. Thank you, Donna Yancey guy, for the thumbs up. That was nice. There'll be a message from my attorney. Please do not give up. Keep fighting for your kids. Do not give up. and come back and see me with your questions. And I will try to look them up like I did tonight. I went to New York and I looked it up. And the format to look things are is the city, the state, followed by the letters CPS, and then your question about CPS. And you get a lot that way. But thank you again. God bless you. And this is Bob.
A vivid picture is encrypted in your mind as the critics get in line like they're witnessing a crime. But then you notice there's a shiver in your spine from the feelings of discontentment and bitterness combined. Heartbroken when you listen to the judges, another kid's innocence corrupted. And if you go against then it's destructive. Consider this predicament the toughest, but we believe in a system fit for justice. Child Protective Services only pretends to save it. The one solution for this is worthy of instant praises. 30 years of experience with relentless cases. Allow me to introduce them. This is Vincent Davis, defending you when they don't think a mother fits the role. Is it juvenile dependency or government control? Observe the pain in their eyes. It's time for us to realize we are the last